Hello students. Yesterday we were talking about the important topics for regarding to the chapter nuclei, and there we have seen a number of topics and we have discussed nuclear reactions to yesterday. And in case of nuclear reactions, we see that the two types of nuclear reactions that we have to study. One is nuclear fission and other is nuclear fusion. So in case of nuclear fission, what is the reason behind it? How can we explain the fission of nucleus? I have just told you with the help of liquid drop model there, the model that is that can explain the fission of any nuclei. In the same way as we are adding energy to any liquid drop, then that liquid drop, first of all, their molecules try to go apart due to reduce in intermolecular attraction forces that is acting between them, that binds them. After that, sometimes further if they will try to go, or otherwise if you add energy to it, then they form dumbbell shape, and finally around center of mass they got breakdown. So this is the splitting process of liquid that is taking, and in the same way as we can see the analogy of nuclear reactions and nucleus with the help of liquid drop. There we can see that both of liquid drop and nucleus, that shape is spherical. Second factor is that in case of liquid drop, surface tension plays an important role for their structure, for their shape, and also for the intermolecular attraction, so that they tend to minimize their surface area. In the same manner, we know that nuclear dimension is also very small, and their nuclear forces are working. So nuclear forces have also tendency to minimize the surface area so that it can be. So we can take the analogy of nuclear liquid drop model or liquid to understand the properties of nucleus, like we can understand the thing for the nuclear fission, and also as nuclear dimension is small, and also you know that about the liquid drop. So in case of liquid drop, you know that due to surface tension, this surface try to minimize its surface area. In the same manner, in case of nucleus, nuclear forces are working there. They are playing just like the same role as surface tension plays in case of liquid. So in that case, that nuclear forces try to bind all the neutrons together, and due to that it has tendency to minimize its surface area, and due to that factor nucleus also show the spherical behavior, and also this is the region you can understand for the binding of nucleons with the help of intermolecular attraction in the liquid molecules. Third factor is that if we add energy to any liquid drop, then in that case we know that there is some instability in the liquid that is created, and due to disturbance or instability, the intermolecular attractive forces that reduces, and due to that molecules are trying to go apart, and in that way they are just instability takes place, and further their shape get started to distort it. Yesterday I have just explained that you, and finally they follow the dumbbell path, and ultimately they split into two or more parts. So this is the concept, that is the breaking of liquid drop into two or more parts. That the same concept we can use in case of nucleus. So nucleus also shows such types of behavior as the liquid shows, as we are using a particle for the fission reaction here. Then obviously it means that if we are bombarding any particle on any material, it means that we are adding energy to that. So due to addition of energy, obviously the nuclear stability that will be distorted, and due to that it behaves just like the water rock, and after that it splits in the same manner. So we can understand the fission of any nuclei with the help of liquid drop easily. So I think the concept of fission that is clear to you, and the reason and the theory behind it, how can we understand it, that is clear to you. So in the next topic that we have to study here, that is the concept of nuclear reactors. So as in case of nuclear fission, we have seen two types of nuclear fission reactions. In case of, first of all, we have seen the chain reaction. So in case of chain reaction, we know that whenever we are using neutrons to bombard on any fission materials like uranium and plutonium, then after that they converted into its daughter nuclei, and a production of neutrons, three neutrons, that is taking place if we are talking about the uranium, and after that a huge amount of energy released from it. So in every fission reaction we are using only one neutron for the fission, but we are getting three neutrons in the output, and that three neutrons are have the enough energy, sufficient energy to cause another fusion reaction. So in that way, if we will not control that neutrons, then within a short time a chain reaction or uncontrolled chain reaction that will be started. So as I told you yesterday, I have shown you that how can a chain reaction will be produced, and in that case the multiplication in the energy that is obtained from every chain fission reaction, that is increased every time, as three neutrons can fuse three uranium, means the fission that will be in every time, that will be in multiplicity, then energy neutrons that we are getting in the output, that will be also in the multiplication way. So finally, if we suppose that we are controlling that neutrons that are producing in the output by some methods, then we will be able to control the energy that is produced in the output, and in that way we will be able to use that energy in our daily life. And there are devices, and or you can say that we have applied both types of reactions in our daily life. First type of uncontrolled chain reaction we are using in case of atom bomb, and second types of reaction, that is controlled chain reaction, we are using that in case of nuclear reactors. And the nuclear reactors, with the help of that we can obtain a constant power supply. So first of all, we are not going to actually understand the concept of uncontrolled chain reaction, that is very harmful, and I have just told you what is the process behind it. In that process, once the neutrons are initiated, they are produced, and they are allowed to bombard on any fissionable material. Then after that they break or split that nuclei, and due to that a number of neutrons we are getting, a huge amount of energy we are getting. Again that process continues, and a large number of neutrons and huge amount of energy that is produced in the system and is spread over the large area and causes a huge loss in our environment. So next, the secondary process that is very useful for us, that is the nuclear reactor process. So today we are going to study about the nuclear reactors and what is the construction of it, how it works. Let's see them one by one. So first of all, let's see what is the construction of the nuclear reactor. So in case of construction of the nuclear reactors, there are some components of nuclear reactors. One by one, try to understand that. After that we will summarize it. So first part that we are using, that is fuel. So what is the nuclear fuel here? Obviously the material that we are using as the fissionable material, that is fuel. So for the fissionable material we are using thorium, plutonium or uranium as the fissionable material, as or their isotopes we can use also. So these materials showing nuclear fission reaction, and in that case process is exothermic, means a huge amount of energy we are getting in the output. So that are called the fissionable material for the nuclear reactors, and they can be taken in form of rods, or also in aluminum container we can take them also. So depending on the factor, we have a number of reactors also, but still we are going to only understand here the general concept of the nuclear reactor, its construction and working here. So, after knowing about the fuel of the nuclear reactors, the second thing that we have to use in this nuclear reactors, that is moderator. So what is moderator here? As we know that after every fission there are three number of neutrons that are produced in every fission reaction. Clear? We are using one neutron for the fission, and after fission three neutrons are produced, and they are very fast moving neutron actually, and they have tendency to escape from the nuclear reactor, and we have to use that neutrons for the further fission reaction. So that's why we use moderators to moderate their speed, to control their speed, or you can say that for the retardation in their to their speed, or to reduce their velocity or speed, we are using moderators in the nuclear reactor. So that because we here the velocity of neutron that is needed for the fission, that is low, only energetic electrons we are using. So we fast to make them slow, the fast neutrons are passed through the moderators, or we are using moderator rod in the case of nuclear reactors, and that moderator rods reduces the velocity of the neutrons that are produced after every fission. So for the moderator we can use the rods of graphite, beryllium, and heavy water we can use also in here. So they are just behaving like the moderator, they can reduce the velocity of the neutrons. Third component that we are using in case of nuclear reaction, that is control rods. So what is control rods? So as we know that if all three neutrons we are allowed to make the fission of uranium or other fuels that we are using, then every time the other three neutrons will be produced, and a huge amount of energy that will be obtained in the multiplication form. So we don't need that again uncontrolled chain reaction here, we need a constant power supply, constant production. So that's why we use control rod to absorb some of the neutrons that are produced in the system. So in that way we can control the reaction, as if there will be less number of neutrons, then obviously there will be less fission, and in every fission we will get constant amount of energy. So for this we are using cadmium or aluminium, that rods for the controlled reaction or control rod. So with the help of that boron rod we can control, or we can absorb some of the neutrons that are produced in the nuclear reactors. The next term that we are using in case of nuclear reactors, that are coolant. So coolant have actually two works. First work is that we know that we are here retarding the speed of fast moving neutrons, then obviously in that process some of the thermal energy that will be produced, and also we know that our new reaction is exothermic reaction, a huge amount of thermal energy that is produced here, then definitely our whole device, whole instrument that will get heated, and to make it cool we are using coolants first. Second thing, that coolants deliver energy to, or transfer energy in form of steam to the turbines, and through that turbines drives and produce the electric power supply. So in this way we are using coolant for two ways. So when after fission the energy that is produced, nuclear energy that is produced, so that energy is transferred to the coolant, and the coolant that we are using in the liquid form. So if a huge amount of energy that is transferred to it, then definitely it will convert it into steam, and due to conversion in steam, that steam runs the turbine or drives the turbine, and due to that the production of electricity takes place. This is same as the case we are using in the case of hydroelectric power supply. In case of hydroelectric power supply we are using turbines, and we are moving that turbines with the help of flowing water. So due to flow of water means we are converting mechanical energy into electrical energy there with the help of the water. In the same way here we are using the thermal energy, nuclear energy that is produced in the case of nuclear fission, and that released nuclear energy that is passed to the coolant, and to that after that coolants are turned or converted into steam, and that steam is used to drives the turbine, and finally we are getting electric power supply due to it. So in case of all these things, we can use coolant just like liquid sodium, or we can use here heavy water. Actually the coolant that we have to use, that should have high boiling point, and also it should have high specific heat. So these are the properties for the coolant that should be followed here. So with the help of all these things, we can control our nuclear fission reaction, and in that way a constant power supply that can be obtained. So next thing that here we are using, that is shielding, nuclear shielding. Nuclear shielding. So in case of nuclear shielding, okay. So what is the need of the shielding here? As we know that in case of nuclear fission reaction, there are also the production of radioactive particles from the nuclear fission, as alpha, beta, gamma, all particles that are produced whenever any nuclei that is split into two or more parts. So in that case, obviously the worker that are working in the field of nuclear reactor, then they will get affected, and you know that radioactive the radiations that can cause the genetic effect, that can cause a huge damage in our body. So that is, and that genetic effects actually that can be produced due to that. So for the workers, to save them, to protect them, we are using a shielding around the nuclear core, nuclear reactor, and for that we are just putting a thick concrete wall, and we cover all the nuclear cores here with the help of a concrete wall. So this is known as the nuclear shielding, or shielding in the nuclear reactors. So with the help of that shielding, we can save our workers that are working in the field of nuclear reactor. So I think the components of nuclear reactors, guys, that is clear to you. Once more, let's discuss it. What are the components, and what the things or what types of materials we are using for it. That we have used as a fuel, we are using the isotopes of uranium, plutonium or thorium, and with the help of that fission reactions can be continued, and we can obtain a large amount of energy, and that can be used to produce the electric power supply. So that fuel can be taken as the rod, or in the aluminium container you can take it also. Second thing that we are using moderator here to moderate the speed of the fast moving neutrons that are produced after every fission. So because they have tendency to escape from the nuclear reactor, so that we use moderators rod to make the low their speeds, and also we can reduce actually their speed with the help of them. And in the case of moderators, we are using beryllium graphite rods, or we can also use heavy waters for their moderation. Third process, the third things that we are using here, that is control rods. So as the slow neutrons that can also cause the fission in the uranium or fuels that we are using. So in that case, uncontrolled chain reaction can be started. So to control the chain, the reaction or the fission that is creating, in that for that we are using control rods, so that some of the neutrons that are produced, that can be absorbed by them. So for the absorption, we are using boron or aluminium rods, and that can absorb some of the neutrons, and in that way we can control our chain reaction. Fourth factor that we are using here, that is coolant. So the work of coolant is first of all to cool the system. Second is to deliver the power to the turbines in form of, is actually whenever in every fission the energy is produced, and that energy is transferred to the coolant, and after that coolant that are converted into steam, and that drives the turbine, and in that way we are getting the electric power supply in the output. And coolant should have the property of a high boiling point, and also the second factor, that is high specific heat. Next thing that here we are using, that is the shielding. Then as here the radioactive radiations are produced that can harm the workers that are working in the company of nuclear reactors, so there to protect the workers that are working and to protect their human body and genetic effects, we are using a concrete wall around the nuclear core. So after that we can protect them easily. So this is the basic components of the nuclear reactor that we have just studied, and I think that is now understood clearly to you why we are using this and what is the components of it. Then after that, what is the working of how, or you can say that how the nuclear reactors are working. So first of all, here what we need, we are needed first of all neutrons that can be produced from somewhere. After that we can bombard them on this fuel, and fission reactions that will be started. So for the production we are using beryllium or other sort with the help of the bombardment of alpha particles. As we know that Chadwick used this process, and if you can produce the neutrons with the help of beryllium and other rods. If alpha particles are bombarded on that, then we are getting neutrons from there. So first to produce neutrons we are using these types of particles. Means first of all, in the case of reactors we are using alpha particles for the production of neutrons. So after production of neutrons they started to bombard on this fissionable material, and after then fission process takes place, and when the fission process takes place, then we are getting a huge amount of energy from there. And to control the speed of the neutrons we are using moderator, and also we are using control rods to absorb some of the neutrons from there. And in that way the energy that is produced after every fission, that is supplied to the coolant, and coolant that converted in forms of steam that drives the turbine, and finally we are getting constant power supply in the output. So I think the working of nuclear reactors, that is clear to you. This we can understand easily with the help of components. Actually you can understand easily. You can only summarize their working, and after that this is the working of nuclear reactor also. And where we can use nuclear reactors. So first of all, we can use nuclear reactors to produce electric power supply. Second things, in every nuclear reaction, as we are split, there is the splitting of nuclei that is taken place. So that after that splitting we can make radioactive isotopes, and you know that the use of radioactive isotopes actually in medical field and very field we are using them for the treatment. So in for the production of radioactive isotopes we can also use nuclear reactors there. So I think actually in some producing some fissionable material we can also use it. So mostly the use that we are doing here, that is electric power supply. For that we are using it, and secondary fact for the production of radioactive isotope we are using nuclear reactors. So guys, I think the use of controlled nuclear reactions, that is clear to you. If we can control the fission reactions, chain controlled fission reaction, if we can control it, then definitely it will be useful for us. In many fields we can use it, the constant power supply that is obtained after every fission. So if fission materials and fission reactors, that is clear to you, then we can understand the concept of nuclear fusion today. So in case of nuclear fusion, two or more light nuclei fuse together to form a heavy nuclei here, and in this process a huge amount of energy that is produced. So this is also a form of nuclear reaction. Here we are just using two or more nuclei that are fuse together at some high amount of energy. Actually they are fused together. Why we are needing high amount of energy we will discuss. And later a heavy nuclei that is produced, and in the production of heavy nuclei a huge amount of energy that is obtained, and that is also the multiple time greater than the amount of energy we have obtained in case of nuclear fission process. Nuclear fusion, two or more nuclei that are fused together to form any heavier nuclei, and in that process a large amount of energy that is released here. So actually to start the nuclear fusion process, first of all we need a high temperature or a large amount of energy, nearly 10 power 7 when we are needed for this. And that energy at our earth that can be produced only with the help of nuclear explosion or nuclear atom bomb. With the help of only that we can produce that energy here. So in the case of stars, as we know that they have their own energy due to nuclear fusion reaction. So in case of that stars, as hydrogen that is the main fuel for that. So with the help of hydrogen the fusion process that takes place there. And as the you know that already the surface of the stars that are very hot, and there also the necessary condition for the nuclear fusion all present there, means at high temperature also present there. Then at high temperature two hydrogen nuclei that can fuse together and that can form a heavier nuclei, and in this process some of the particles that are emitted, and also with the emission of process there is a huge amount of energy that can be produced. So in case of actually nuclear fusion, two cycles that are responsible here. First of all or you can say that nuclear fusion can be takes here two process. So first process is proton-proton cycle, and second process is carbon-nitrogen cycle. So first of all let's see what is proton-proton cycle and how can energy produced in that cycle. So in case of proton-proton cycle, here we are seeing a number of reactions that has been given here. So in this case, first of all two hydrogen nuclei that are diffused together that are fused together to form again isotope of hydrogen, and in this process a positron that is emitted here, and also with the emission of this positron neutron particles that is also emitted, and this huge amount of energy of the order of mega electron volt that is emitted. Again these positron particles, if they are fused with the electrons of hydrogen, then in that case they produced gamma particles and also a huge amount of energy. Actually one by one we are seeing here the particles or the nuclei that are fusing together, and after fusing a new particle or nuclei that is obtained, and in this process as two or more nuclei that are fused together, then their binding energy that is released in form of nuclear energy. Third factor, this produced isotope of hydrogen, again this can fuse with this hydrogen and it can form helium nuclei, and also some of the particles can be emitted here, and a huge amount of energy again we are getting. And rest again, if two of these helium nuclei, if they are fusing together, then ultimately we are getting helium particles, and again we are getting here hydrogen nuclei in the output and this amount of energy. So if you just summarize all these reactions that are taking place in case of stars, then it is nearly 26 point something mega electron volts energy we are getting after fusion reaction that is taking due to hydrogen in the of the stars. So hydrogen as a main fuel that is present in stars, and if that hydrogen fuse together at a particular high temperature, then after that high energy that is produced in every fusion reaction, and that energy is the source of the energy of stars. So greater amount of fuel will be there, greater amount of energy we can obtain for the greater time. So every stars has a lifetime, and that lifetime depends on the fusion of the fuels in that. So obviously every fusion, as hydrogen is using as a fuel, so there will be a time when all the fuels that will be ended, or that will be converted into helium. Then in that case obviously helium again, as they are nuclei, so they cannot show any other reaction. So in this case we will not be able to get energy from that star. So after that star means there is the ending of the life of the stars that will take place, and the stars can be converted after that in forms of white dwarf, or supernova explosions can take place there, neutron stars can be there, black holes can be there. So these are the ending stages of the stars whenever fuel is ended. So first of all, this is the process in which we can get energy from any stars. So there are two processes in that. First is proton-proton cycle, second is nitrogen-carbon cycle. So in case of proton-proton cycle, we have seen that here this is the proton-proton cycle in which hydrogen is as the main fuel, and if they are fused together, then some of the greater nuclei, heavier nuclei, that can be formed, and finally we can get a high amount of energy in the output. So today we have discussed the nuclear reactor and nuclear fusion process, the proton-proton cycle we have discussed. Guys, tomorrow we will discuss carbon-nitrogen cycle. After that some of the uses we will discuss, and we'll end the chapter tomorrow. So I think today whatever we have discussed, that is clear to you. You know now how can we use fission reaction and also fusion reaction in our daily life. Later I will tell you why we are needed atomic bomb here to start the fusion reactions, why we are needing that. I will tell you tomorrow. So for today, let's end the class here, guys, and try to understand all the factors, all facts that we are using, why we are using.